Today we're talking about Piety and Pain, the recently announced big discount box from Games Workshop, pitting Dark Eldar led by Lelith Hesperax against the forces of the Sisters of Battle. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking about the Christmas Day announcement from Games Workshop, where they've shown us a little glimpse of this box that is to come, including all of the models in it. Its sisters led by the new Palatine model, versus Lelith Hesperax, leading some Dark Eldar and Scourges. So let's take a look at the new Lelith, and then talk about the rest of the box and how good I think it is. So first of all, here we have the new Lelith. To be honest, this one wasn't all that much of a surprise. They'd given us quite a few shots of the miniature already, and there's quite so many similarities to the old one that most people were guessing that it was probably a new miniature for her. Games Workshop's release schedule is going to be a bit slower than they were initially advertising, which I'm sure is due to some combination of the virus and Brexit, which means that we can't be 100% sure that the Drukhari Codex is still coming in January. The Death Guard one is coming somewhere around the 16th, and I suspect that the earliest that we could see the Drukhari is late January, but it could be as late as March. If we are going by previous releases as well, it seems that we won't be able to buy a new Lelith separately. She will most likely only be available during this box set, and then probably something like half a year later she'll be available to order individually. I've seen the model itself divide opinions quite a bit online. I personally think it has got some good aspects to it. It looks very dynamic, she's jumping off that rock rather than standing on it. Possibly the posing's a little bit better than the old one, though I've heard a lot of people seem to prefer the old face to the new one. She is perhaps looking a little bit more goblin-y in the new one in terms of the face, though maybe that's just because she's very angry and being very contemptuous of the people she's killing in the gladiatorial arena. I have to admit though, of all the things that I've seen criticised a bit, I must admit that her feet do look a bit weird. Most of the model is fairly sleek and graceful, where the feet look like they've got very chubby toenails, and might well be something that I'd be more expecting to see on an Orc miniature than a Dark Eldar. I suppose on the whole it is good to have her updated in a new plastic kit, rather than having to deal with fine cast resin, but unlike a fair few of the reimaginings of characters, I'm not sure she's looking amazingly better than the old miniature personally. Still, I'm sure she'll be interesting to play with in-game. They've been reimagining every datasheet in 9th as the codexes have been coming out, and perhaps paying just a little bit more attention to the characters that have new miniatures released, so I'd be surprised if she isn't absolutely devastating in close combat in the new codex. I'm sure she'll be cutting down hordes of enemy infantry with ease. So let's move on to the rest of the box of Piety and Pain then. As we said, it's Sisters versus Drukhari. The Sisters are represented by their new Palatine model that we've already seen. She gives a reroll 1's aura to her nearby battle sisters, and that addition will give them pretty much equal reroll capabilities to Space Marines, which really is saying something. She isn't tooled up with crazy amount of gear either, just a plasma pistol and some sort of sword, and honestly I think that looks good for her being a competitive pick in a Sisters army. Besides that, the Sisters half of the box is an Immolator and Retributors, both decent picks, particularly those Retributors who have really come into their own since Multi-Melters gained an additional shot. The sheer amount of firepower those girls can put out with a couple of Armorium Cherubs is just really scary, and it's not all that far behind Space Marine Eradicators to give you some sort of level of their power. On the Drukhari side, we have Lelith herself, plus Witches, a Venom and some Scourges, perhaps a little bit more niche in terms of their application. With Drukhari at the moment, I'd say that Witches are okay, though not absolutely standout. Scourges do give some decent firepower, but die like flies, and Venoms are great in 9th with their speed and mobility, though they do pay a high price for how many wounds they have. In particular, perhaps it's a little bit more disappointing on the Drukhari side, seeing as they already have their Start Collecting box, which does contain a Venom and the Witches. It is kind of already quite easy to get your hands on them if you want those models. So overall, the Sisters have 7 models in the box, around about £100 or $160 worth of stuff, and if you are giving everything loads of multi-melters, it's going to run you at around about 340 points. Obviously that's an estimate, as we don't know the cost of the Palatine yet. For the Drukhari you get far more models, but arguably less elite ones. They cost you around about £90 or $150 at the moment, and depending on exactly what gear you give them, it's around about 380 points. So overall, if we estimate around about £190 or $310, if we compare with Games Workshop's similar discounts that they've done recently, I'd estimate that the price is going to be somewhere around £125 or $210 for the box. I think it's going to be fairly similar to their big Christmas discount retail boxes. I suspect that it probably will be quite a popular box, the Sisters side in particular, seeing as there's generally been no way to get them at any sort of discount, as they've not had a Start Collecting box yet. On the Dark Eldar side, it will be interesting to see whether or not their Start Collecting is updated to a new combat patrol. If it is, then that set might be a more interesting pickup potentially, as like I've said, we've already had those Witches and Venom discounted for a very long time, so it might be nice to have something else cheap on offer. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, particularly if you're a Sisters or Drukhari player. Are you thinking about picking this up once we have full details of the price? If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, but we'll certainly be keeping the 40k content coming out every day, and keeping on top of all the new releases. Finally, if you have enjoyed the video, I would just like to mention the Auspex Tactics Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description below. Channel patrons do have a few advantages, such as seeing certain new videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the channel's monthly prize giveaways, where we give out some really big model kits. If any of that sounds interesting to you, or you'd just like to help support the channel, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.